Well, thank you very much, Jim. That really means a lot coming from you, especially as the host of your show and a hardcore gamer, because we want to appeal to the gamers. That's the whole point. We make gaming accessories for gamers, and hearing something like that really makes it all worthwhile. So thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So I got to ask you mentioned Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm a big Ninja Turtle fan as well. Working on the show, did you ever get the opportunity to work with or meet or even see in passing Kevin Eastman or Peter Laird, the creators of Ninja Turtles?
Absolutely. It's mostly Peter Laird who's involved, and I remember writing my first episode, and you get just story notes from story editors and other writers and the producers, and then there's this one set of notes that's basically in red Sharpie over everything. I'm like, who is this guy? He doesn't know what he's talking about. And of course it's Peter Laird who's writing these notes. I'm like, oh, I guess I really have to incorporate everything he says because he's created them. And he takes an active role on everything, from whether it's a new line of Playmates toys to the episodes that air every Saturday on Kids CW. So he's an amazingly creative person, but also at the same time gives you the breadth to experiment and have some fun with the characters. And when we launched our direct-to-TV movie this year, where the current cartoon turtles go back in time to meet the 80s turtles that I knew growing up, he was all over it, and it was just a really fantastic working experience.
That is really cool. I'm definitely excited for that. Now, we had met briefly weeks back at E3, which was an outstanding show this year, by the way. And you were sharing with me the Rapid Shot submachine gun for the Nintendo Wii, which I absolutely fell in love with, from the feel to the way it played on House of the Dead. You were telling me, with your past expertise in the Navy, that you had a hand in designing the awesome peripheral. Would you care to share with us your involvement with the Rapid Shot?
Sure. Well, the design team behind the Rapid Shot, and for your listeners, to give you a visual, it's modeled after the MP5 submachine gun, which is pretty much the go-to weapon for special forces teams around the world. And Komodo, who we work with exclusively, they were the genius team that really took that design and made it real. When I came to work for Innex, they were very aware of my background as a public affairs naval reserve officer, and part of my preparation to become an officer in the military was small arms training, and we trained with 9mm Beretta, Glock, as well as M4 carbine and the MP5. So when we got the first demos, I was really able to get a good feel for it, because you really want that balance between the realism, but also be able to hold it up for, if you want an 8-hour Modern Warfare or House of the Dead marathon, you're not going to be, dying after just 15 minutes. So, you really don't want a metal gun, because it's just, the weight is just too much to handle and just not fun to play with at all. So we talked about a lot of the great things that we incorporated into the design. There's a removable magazine for the batteries, removable scope, removable stock, so you could strip it down if you wanted and get a real sense of a submachine gun. And then as far as the functionality, the functionality of the Wii controller, the Wii remote, the Wii remote, the Wii Motion Plus, and the nunchuck are all built into it, so you don't need to swap out your own Wii controllers. The functionality is all built in, and because the technology is in there, Komodo and we were able to position the buttons however we wanted. So we have the A button up there by the front grip. We have the nunchuck analog joystick in the back by your thumb. So it feels very natural, and you still have all the functionality of the D-pad, the 1 and 2 buttons, the B trigger, Z and C, everything's there, but it's just very easy to reach, very easy to access. You just have a natural feel. And from using an actual MP5, I got to say it's the closest thing to the actual weapon I've ever used in my life.
Wow. And I believe you were mentioning too that it really brought you back to being on the range. Just how realistic it felt in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure Jim, from trying it out. It's got the force feedback, so you got a little bit of kick. But what we really strove is to create a weapon with accuracy. If you look at the Zapper, it's a toy. It's made for kids, and that's fine. That's great. But you're flailing it around like a toy, and it's bright and white and plastic. This looks real. Besides the orange tip, which is mandated by United States law, at a distance it would look like the real thing. I think it was one of the reviewers kept saying, like, this is amazing, but very, very dangerous. And I think one of the quotes that I remember the most, that I've got plastered up on my wall, is that Kotaku said you could rob a gas station with that thing. And it's true, for better or for worse, that's what you can do with it, because it is such a realistic item. And because we did include the functionality inside and we built that in, we were able to make it not a toy that you wave around, but real accurate, very sensitive, as would be a real gun on the range or in the field, where just a few inches or a few degrees left or right, up or down, and you're talking about, a few feet at your target. So you get a handle of what it's really like to shoot. And when we have demoed this for either law enforcement, current or ex-military, they have just been blown away, because you expect a toy, but you get a realistic machine gun simulation.
Oh, absolutely. And and we're definitely in an era of gaming where it is about realism and people wanting that. I mean, from 3D gaming now and 3D TVs to the Kinect and moving and navigating the screen with our hands and it reading our bodies. And we're just like, steps away from actually being inside these games. And you get, gamers that are really into Call of Duty, and they love the weapons and the realistic aspects of the games and things like that. So when you put a gun like this in a gamer's hand, it adds so much to the gaming and the immersion and the experience with the gamer in the game. And I think that's a huge part of what makes video games in general what they are, is that immersion and that connection with the player and the game, and it makes it so much fun. So absolutely. You guys definitely got a great product there with the...
Well, thank you very much. I remember we were talking at the show how it's interesting that the games have gotten much more mature and sophisticated, yes. and violent. That's true. You look at games like Red Dead Redemption, of course, Modern Warfare, the Grand Theft series. They're rated R movies, if not worse. Yet the accessories for the long time have sort of been stuck in kiddie land, which is fine, but it's time that there's a device for the mature gamer who wants something that feels and looks real.
Absolutely, and it's just like with games. Parenting will have a big role in it. If you don't want your kids playing the M-rated games, don't let them play them. If you don't want them having a really cool, realistic submachine gun peripheral, don't let them have it. So
exactly.
It's just like an
shot.
M-rated game. It's the being responsible and.
Precisely, Jim. And the Rapid Shot is the first shooting accessory in video game history to carry an age warning on it. And we did a lot of talks and discussions with the Electronic Rating Safety Board about getting an M on it, and we ultimately decided it probably wasn't a good idea to use ERSB, because then people get confused between, well, is it a software? Is there a game included? So we just created our own warning label so that parents and retailers know, like, hey, it may be a video game accessory, but it's not a toy.